What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Prop Wiz. I'm your host, the Wiz. Today, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on the first episode of Moon Knight. It just aired a couple of days ago for the first time. I've seen it twice since then. Dude, the first episode is impressive. On top of talking about the show, as you notice, I do have a 3D printed Moon Knight that I was working on, still kind of working on. Look, all kinds of pieces falling off. I haven't glued everything together yet. And unfortunately, I may have to abandon this project or do some things to strengthen it because, one, he's not standing on his stand properly. The pictures that I'm sharing on the screen are pictures that I was able to take earlier where I was able to get him on the stand because it'll stand for a good, 3 or 4 minutes, man, before it started leaning over. The bottom line is I think I made the cape too heavy. Everything is resin printed except for the base and the cape. And the cape is 5 pieces all together and extremely heavy. So he's actually very, very top heavy. Everything is being balanced and supported by this one leg. The leg is actually holding up, but the body I can feel becoming wobbly. So I feel like he's about to break in half. On top of that, again, the stand kind of leans a little bit because of the weight. So some of that stuff I might be able to fix. I might take a knock at it, but unfortunately, I think I need to do better printing this cape, maybe printing it out of a lighter material such as the resin. But anyway, since I was talking about the first episode of Moon Knight, I didn't want to wait till this thing was completely perfected to share it with you guys. So here it is, all in its glory. Again, the pictures are the best representation of it. But as far as the show, like I already said, I thought it was extremely impressive. I was in this weird place where this was definitely something that's on my radar. I used to collect some of the comics, some of the later comics. I've read some of the earlier ones, so I can definitely tell the difference between this show and the original comics, as well as its connection to some of the newer comics. For example, the whole thing with the multiple personality, I feel like was new. That really wasn't in the comic books that I read when I was younger, but it's definitely a strong theme in some of the newer comics. Regardless, reading the old comics, reading the new comics, I felt like this was a different beast in a real, real good, refreshing way. And most of that was just due to the visuals, just how they were able to show the different personalities, him waking up with a gun, not knowing how he got there, him waking up in the field, him waking up in the bed, all these different scenes, the way that it was shot, the way it kind of just jolted you into a new location and a new place. And also how they were dealing with time. He woke up and you find out that 2 or 3 days had passed. The show did a real good job with that. On one hand, you can realize just how scary it is, just having that condition, waking up, not knowing where you're at. Like there was an element to it that was scary, but they were also able to add comedic elements into it, mostly due to the personality of Oscar Isaac's character. Oscar Isaac is playing a character named Stephen Grant at the beginning of the story anyway. We also find out later that he's multiple characters. But anyway, the first episode mostly introduces us to Stephen and kind of introduces us to this concept of him having multiple personalities, having voices in his head, and just a little bit of glimpse of the Moon Knight himself. In fact, my only disappointment, I wouldn't even call it a disappointment because I did understand it, was feeling it. I was only disappointed because I was enjoying the show so much. So when it got to the end and you only got to see a glimpse of Moon Knight, it was like, it just sucked that the episode ended right there. But with that being said, the fact that I was enjoying this 30-40 minute episode without seeing Moon Knight at all was a testament to the writing and just the overall mood of the show. Like this could have been a movie just about this Stephen Grant character without even introducing the Moon Knight, and I think it still would have been an interesting movie, my opinion. With that being said, Prop Wiz, the Wiz, the father of the geek son, a geek himself. Of course, Moon Knight was the most important thing in this show for me. It's cool that it's a superhero show. Of course, when I was watching this, I was very conscientious of the other Marvel shows, specifically the Marvel shows that were released. So you can't help but compare it to those. I will say, in my opinion, I know a lot of people like WandaVision. WandaVision really wasn't for me. I did watch it. I enjoyed the risks that they took, but they kind of went too far. Like it was too weird of a show for me. And Loki was right there on the brink. I enjoy the character Loki a lot more, so I think I enjoyed Loki just a tad bit more, but it was still just a weird show. And then you got the Falcon and Winter Soldier show that I personally like, only because it was more familiar to me in terms of the Marvel universe. So with that being said, to me, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and even Hawkeye were real safe shows, right? They really, even the color grading and the look of the shows was very, very reminiscent of the Avenger movies. So I respected that because, hey, we love the Avengers, love seeing these characters. It was great. Few little hiccups in the story, but nothing big. I felt like the overall arc of both of those two shows were good, which brings us to Moon Knight. The beauty with Moon Knight is I felt like we got a good mix of both. We got that traditional cinematic feel, but there was just enough weirdness and creativity where it's like, okay, these guys, the directors, the producers, they are taking some risk with this. In fact, even Oscar Isaac himself, I read that, he used the English accent for the Stephen Grant character, which was risky. Nobody on the set, I guess, liked it. None of the producers were kind of iffy about it. He ended up doing it. It works well, especially knowing that his different personalities actually talk different. Well, actually, we only met one personality. So far, we only got two. Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. But both of those guys look the same, talk very different kind of accents. And I thought that really added to that element of having different people using the same body. Thought that was dope. Of course, when only one episode down, it's way too early to say that this is my favorite show. But I will say the first episode, this is my favorite first episode out of those Marvel shows. In fact, probably on Disney Plus, only beaten out by Mandalorian. I thought the Mandalorian was super dope in the fact that it was real simple, straight to the point. The first episode, you knew exactly who this character was, as well as everything around it, as far as the production being top tier, right? It just looked beautiful. So I got that with this. Very, very cinematic. And none of the shows look bad. I think the added touches that was giving it more of a cinematic look was just probably camera angles. There was a lot of things where the camera was focused on that character. Everything else was out of focus. Camera movements. It was just a lot just on that production side where it just looked like you just watched this thing just getting the sense like, dude, this could be a movie. And in fact, I'm hearing a lot of people, a couple of my friends that I spoke to, wish that it was a movie because in our minds, the movie is still higher than the TV show. My personal opinion. People still feel like movies is it. You know what I'm saying? But man, I look at it different. I feel like we're getting a 6-hour movie with the TV show of Moon Knight. Mind you, the episodes are all different. Marvel and Disney be doing this weird thing where the shows don't be, one show might be 30 minutes, one might be 55 minutes, one might be 40 minutes. So we got 6 episodes. They're probably not going to be 6 hours, but still, anything over 3.5, 4 hours, I feel like is a good accomplishment for a show about a character that you love. You know what I'm saying? Something that can hopefully have a beginning, end, wrap up, but we have a little bit more time to expand on character building and whatnot. So, and this one has a story. Even the first episode felt like it was more character building, letting us know who Stephen Grant is giving us a preview into Mark Spector, his other personality. And of course, we saw this bad guy that was just dope, man. Just a whole, just feel like there's a whole story that's embedded in that. And we got a good piece of it, good understanding of who he is, I think. And man, what an awesome build up, right? They didn't show Moon Knight in costume until probably the last minute, maybe even 30 seconds. I mean, they barely showed him, but the scene that they showed him in, they let us know that this dude is 100% uncut dopeness. He fights some kind of Egyptian demon dog or something, and it was shot again in a very, very artistic, very, very cool way. Like, they didn't show every step of the fight. They kind of just showed us a glimpse of it. But that glimpse was extremely effective in letting us know that, Moon Knight is about his business, man. And again, man, it's weird. I guess, again, I did say the little bit that they showed Moon Knight was somewhat of a disappointment. Didn't ruin the show. I think you were supposed to feel like, I wish there was more. This is just one of those times where I wish Disney did put all the episodes online at the same time instead of us having to do the week to week. I understand why Disney does it, but some shows, especially these shows that are real cinematic, I just feel like I personally would get a better experience if I was able to see more than one episode. But with that being said, they showed Moon Knight at the very end. Guarantees that most of us will be sitting in front of that TV next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, or same Moon Knight time, or you know what I'm trying to say. By the way, and because Prop Wiz like building things, like building costumes and statues and stuff, gotta comment on the Moon Knight's costume, man. Just super dope, super creative. It doesn't look like anything that I can 3D print. Well, they had a couple of parts, the moon, the logo on the chest, but he looked like he was mostly wraps, but wrapped in real cool ways where it looked like it was armor here, and just a super dope costume. And one of the things, they always compare this character to Batman. Again, the Moon Knight that I grew up with was definitely more Batman-like, right? I think the later iterations is still Batman-like. It's very, very much like Batman, but I think that element, that mental health element that they sprinkle into the newer comics make it different. And again, the show is following that, but the costume was definitely one of my favorite things. In fact, the one that I printed kind of reminded me of what they have in the movie, where they kind of focus more on wraps, made him look like a mummy, knowing that his powers, I believe, don't quote me because the show might change it, but his powers come from this Egyptian god. So it's real cool that they kept with that culture. Anyways, that's my overall review of the first episode. Basically, I love it. Man, I give this a 10 out of... everything I've been talking about is a 10 out of 10. All right, I'm going to give you the secret. I usually don't watch whack shows, or I don't watch shows that I don't like. So it's very rare that I give a low rating. Maybe when we start getting more viewers, maybe I'll start just watching everything so we can get reviews on everything. Right now, I'm just focused on the things I love. So don't hate on me for giving it a 10 out of 10. But I truly think more than just me liking this character, I do think, again, the cinematography, the director, I think it's real cool. They had a person of color doing this, directing this, that understands specifically that the Egyptian culture, I think affected the show in a good way. I can get a sense of that. Like, there was a real respect of the history of that, as well as the history of the character in the world. So, man, I just think it was just well done. So I do think it deserves a 10 out of 10 just off creativity, just being a good first episode. But anyway, I would love to hear what you guys think. I read a couple of reviews that other people wrote. I really haven't read too much negative. I think I read one, or someone told me something that people had said that the first episode was confusing. And when I watched it, it's like I can kind of understand that. If you're not really into it, it doesn't really explain what's going on at first, but I think it was supposed to be confusing. Stephen Knight, the main character, is confusing for him, and I think we were meant to feel that way as the audience as well. So I think it was all very purposeful, and I'm hoping the second episode and on shapes this thing, keeps it going in a good direction, and shape this thing to be as great as I think it's going to be. But, we'll see. But anyway, again, leave your comments, man. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video, share the video, and I'll check you guys out next time, all right? Peace.